to somewhere. Weekly, there's nowhere to hide. Opinions rip raw, tearing through the pride. NXT shadows with stories untold. Jake Spaz Cody with nerves of gold. Feel the crash, break the silence loud. Into somewhere, the unruly crowd. Wrestling dreams, wrestling scars. We're lost but found under the blackest stars.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
Shit.
Holy hell. Jake, aka Countdown, ended, coming to you live with what was supposed to be a mashup of NXT and Raw review, but this became NXT's night. Cody O'Needy316 with me as always in the background.
What's going on?
Has been absolutely incredible. I am still jaw agape,
Let's
mouth
talk about the
wide
main
open.
event first, I think we need to talk about
Wow.
Big-
Like, I thought this was just going to be Trick's night, and then all of a sudden we got that incredible opener, and I don't know if they're just changing things up because, like, hey, we got to mix it up before Worlds Collide, and then we have plans. People are moving up because the draft's approaching very soon. It seems like there's a lot of call-ups, but I thought it was just going to be a simple, easy Trick comes in to brag. But that's not what we got throughout the night. For weeks now, we've seen dissension among Fatal Influence. I don't know if this was planned all along, but holy hell, we have a new NXT North American male champion and a new NXT women's champion.
which no one
That's
thought was going
right.
to happen.
I did
That was the
not.
biggest shock of the year, maybe. Holy shit.
Wow, Jacy Jane. I mean, Mike Rome's face summed it up. He sat there like, oh, what happened? I am stunned myself. I'm just
The
hit me like a
IWC
brick.
is in shambles right now. Like
I believe it. People
are
were already
pissed.
mad because of the counter booking that is All In coming up in Texas, and how WWE added full counter booking with NXT Great American Bash. They already had Saturday night's main
you know
event
what?
going on.
I don't. People get mad that WWE is doing that, but the IWC fails to realize that AEW and Tony Khan all the time say we are the competition to WWE. We can go head to head with WWE, and when WWE wants to do that,
Right.
they get
And,
all pissy and
I
shaking their
mean,
boots.
That's the thing here. And for them to complain, but you want to be viewed as competition, I don't know what, you want your cake and eat it too kind of thing. But I'm still, I mean, this night started off pretty shocking as is, with Ethan Page, all ego, going ahead and capturing that North American title from Ricky Saints. He did
And here's
so
the
in an
thing.
incredible way, too. Ricky is protected with this loss, and so is Stephanie Vacour. I mean, we could never see them again in NXT. That could be it. They could be done, and I would be okay with it, but just because
That's
of,
what I was about to say. I think Stephanie
yeah, I mean, they
Vacour's
could be
going to
plucked
Monday Night
and
Raw.
called up. She's certainly ready for the main roster. She already said she doesn't feel a difference between NXT and the main roster. Like, she's just ready to go. I don't think they planned
Imagine that Monday Night
on
Raw
Stephanie
division. You got Rhea
being
Ripley.
long term anyways. Yeah, I don't think they planned on Stephanie being
Io
long
Sky.
term. I think they always had her as like a short trip, but she ended up just being so popular that they capitalized on her as women's champ, and they did so early. But shout out to everybody going nuts in the chat. I mean, I am shocked as ever to see that we have Trick Williams taking on Mike Santana in an NXT ring next week. And then the announcements for Worlds Collide as well. I mean, they're coming out swinging here, Cody.
I mean, I don't know. NXT really wanted to do something tonight. I don't know, Han. Can you hear me still?
I can hear you still.
My
You're,
headphones just beeped.
you're coming through loud and clear. Don't worry. It looks like they're just adding everything to Worlds Collide at this point. this card, I mean, just gets better and better. I'm liking what we're seeing. So we have El Hijo del Vikingo taking on Chad Gable, and there's a bit of a news story going on with that. I find it kind of funny because what we have here is maybe some sour grapes. I don't know. It depends on how you want to look at it. But WWE was never thrilled with acquiring Alberto Del Rio. He was the,
Didn't they spoil the
it seemed like
title change?
Well, they spoiled the title
Because it
change
was
for a
never
match
official.
that hasn't happened yet. That's the thing. So Del Rio not
They
only
said-
knows he's losing, they made sure this is happening. So imagine he does like a refuse to be pinned scenario, like, you know, a Bret Hart in Canada kind of thing. It would be nuts. But they went ahead on
WWE
Monday
said
Night
they
Raw.
wanted nothing to do with Alberto Del Retard.
They
Sorry, Del Rio.
advertised
Oh,
Del
my
Rio,
bad.
you know, basically being done and over with because they said Vikingo was going to be defending his title, and it's like, oh, his title? Oops. So I guess in the United States broadcast, they went ahead and said Vikingo will defend the AAA Mega Championship, but in the non-US broadcast, they didn't address him as the AAA Mega Champion. So Del Rio's still the AAA Mega Champion, though. He is going to have that match coming up on the 30th or 31st. They're doing a impromptu show to transfer that belt away from Del Rio. But all in all, that was a bit of an interesting tell to see that WWE wanted nothing to do with him. So now we have El Hijo del Vikingo, the future AAA Mega Champion, taking on Chad Gable, which I hope we get some type of involvement, or maybe it gets a replacement by El Grande Americano in this show. Then we have Legado del
People are
Fantasma.
saying they dropped the gimmick, El Grande Americano.
I
because he
haven't
hasn't shown up
seen. No, I don't think so. I think it's still happening. They're just taking their time with certain things. And then we got El
Triple H
Hijo
is known for
del
that.
Wagner Jr., Pagano, and Psycho Clown. Then we got Stephanie Vacour and Lola Vice, who are teamed up tonight backstage. Stephanie said she was in need of a partner, you know, by Ava, and Lola stepped up. So she's taking on Chick Tormenta and Dailies. And then we have the four-way for the North American title, won by Ethan Page. He comes out to celebrate at the end of the night, which explains why they had that title match open. Plus, it was an incredible match. So Javon Evans says, hey, you know, basically, I've got a claim to the title. But that's when Laredo Kid comes out. And then, lo and behold, from SmackDown, Rey Fenix himself comes in and says it's going to be a four-way at Worlds Collide. So we've got those four matches announced. And then we have Money in the Bank the same day, which will be live next Saturday, June 7th, for both. So we'll be covering those. Going to be huge. Massive update there. But NXT tonight was, as we said, incredible. They excuse me, they managed to they hooked us. You know, they baited us, hook, line, and sinker. Fatal Influence. You thought, of course, Jacy Jane's not going to win. You know, they're falling apart at the seams here. They're not able to function as a unit. And eventually, Fallon Henley and Jacy Jane are arguing with Jasmine Nixon. They both push her to the ground. And that's when Stephanie from the top rope takes them both down. And you see Jasmine walk away all mad. And then she's distracting the ref. And that leads to the interference that damages Stephanie enough for that, you know, finish from Jacy. I mean, it's incredible. Holy hell. This was not something I saw happening. I am truly shocked.
What are your thoughts? Are you disappointed? Are you happy?
No, I'm
with
excited. I like a bit of shock every now and again, and I don't think this is
this is what we were talking about the other day. What Vince McMahon used to do in the Attitude Era, how he used to hot potato titles. Sometimes he would just randomly.
And it's certainly not hot potato, but I do like the random injection of poison.
Like just random shock value of winning a championship on a random episode.
They gave someone with zero expectation of winning a true foregone conclusion of a match. And they gave us an opposite expectation. That was incredible. No one gave...
Which is a good thing, I know.
I sadly had even predicted that Ethan Page would take the title from Ricky Saints. People were not happy with me for that, but I'm like, I think it's going to happen. They're going to do something. They're setting up some nefarious attack, and that's what we got in this match. He RKOs him through a chair, and his neck gets crushed. His windpipe taken out on the leg of the chair, and it was cool. You could see they had one of like the set breakaway chairs ready for that spot, so they did it about as safe as they could, and it still looked so super effective. And then he snaps the rope later on into his neck after Ricky defies expectation and still manages to kick out and fight back for quite some time. Stellar. Amazing match. What a title defense.
And
Ricky
I get
looks
people's
great.
reasoning.
Yeah, now he can go on and face Obafemi. This frees up Ricky Saints from the mid-card, and he can finally move up. I'm sure he's not long for NXT, and I imagine he's going to be NXT champ because Obafemi is going to be going up as well soon, too. So it seems like they're moving pieces around very quickly anyways, and I like seeing everybody in the chat excited. I mean, the discus punch at the end, I didn't see Jacy getting her finisher. I thought Stephanie would kick out, and she gets the 3, and I thought I swallowed my tongue. As I said before, Mike Rome's face was like, it encapsulates and perfectly just sums up everything. I was like, wow, who's Stephanie gonna, because she's got this tag match at Worlds Collide. Is she gonna have double duty? Is it like, all these thoughts going through my head, and that's not what we got. And yes, oh, you're only excited because it's abrupt. No, they sold it great. The dissension among Fatal Influence to the very end, where it was a setup the entire time to get the referee's attention away. They forcefully pushed, Jasmine down to the ground, making it seem like they couldn't get along. They couldn't coexist, as I always say. The foregone conclusion was not it. They shocked us, and they've been building her up. They've been saying, like, oh, Fallon Henley the whole time was the one. She was the chosen one. She had the North American title. And Jacy's been like, yeah, but you lost it. And they've been trying to raise up her shot. So now her stock is indeed risen. I'm certainly... this was a shock of the night, possibly shock of the year, and I don't know, shock of NXT in a while. I mean, they've certainly gotten us before, but
big news then.
Yes, please.
Where do you think this goes with Jacy Jayne?
Oh, there's going to be a rematch, and she'll retain. I think Stephanie's going up quick, though. I think she's going to be up by the time Evolution happens. Maybe you get the rematch at Evolution.
Champ, or is she a transitional champion? What do you think?
I think she's going to be transitional. I could see her losing to Jordan Grace. I'm so
Grace, yeah. I think Jordan Grace is their next big thing. But I think Jordan Grace isn't going to be down in NXT for long as Shawn Michaels would probably like. But I think
they're going to be moving people around. Things are going to be happening. I think this will be a call-up moment for Stephanie Vacour. I think we'll see her maybe once more. SmackDown? Probably Raw, because Julia's on SmackDown. I think they're going to keep them apart.
Can you imagine that?
Io and Stephanie at SmackDown would be incredible. I mean, there's so many matches you can have with them at Evolution, certainly. I'm just thinking maybe if they do the rematch there, because what do we have to build up? We have Worlds Collide. Obviously, she's busy then. And then after that, I believe it's Money in the Bank that night. And what? There's something else before then. I don't have it in front of me, but chat will know. Even still, I
before
think
Money in the Bank,
after Money in the Bank, but I wonder
Night of Champions, right?
Night of Champions. I don't think they'll do anything for NXT then, and then of course it's not until All in Texas for Great American Bash. So at Evolution, they could do the rematch of Stephanie and Jacy, but.
Oh yeah, yes. Evolution's there.
I don't imagine Night of Champions they'll do. They could add women's NXT title, but I doubt it. I imagine they'll just keep it like it's the same 5-6 match card, and it'll be the same formula we've gotten. But thank you, Liz, and you, Sir Cody, came up with it as well. But just 2 title changes tonight, and they kind of do it in duos, don't they? I mean, when we got Obafemi and Stephanie originally, like they tend to do it in 2s. I feel like so. They did something else that I'm really high on tonight, which is they introduced Mike Santana to the audience. They spent 40 seconds of a video package showing highlights of who he is, his character, what he can do in the ring, and some of his promo skills. Perfect. It always goes back to AEW with my point there. The Butcher, the Blade. It's an infamous meme at this point now, but they still do this at times. And oh, well, WWE did it with Jeff Cobb. Well, the situation kind of a different thing with people being brought into the bloodline. You're from, you're assuming it's either family or someone that they've called upon. That's kind of a little more self-explanatory, but they've done it too. And I like when things are if you know someone's going to be there, explain them to a wider audience. Yes, everyone in NXT is familiar, and most of the NXT audience, but not everyone. Not everyone watches TNA. Not everyone tunes in week to week. So
Right.
giving them a chance to really go ahead and see, hey, this is what's going on. This is what we're getting. Great. I love it. And NXT won't be part of Evolution as they're doing Great American Dash the day before. I still think they might have some, from what I'm hearing, NXT matches because they're supposed to include multiple companies. Excuse me, for Evolution. NXT included as well. So we'll see what happens. Anything is possible, that's for sure. But overall, NXT tonight was really stellar. The wrestling, it wasn't even just because of the title changes either. The main event was damn good between those two. No, it wasn't the greatest match ever. The ending certainly helped, but it was still really good. I had people calling Raw boring last night. And unfortunately, Xfinity kept us from streaming. I do apologize. They're putting fiber for some business up the street, and I guess it interfered with, whatever they did locally. So somebody likely took the wrong pole down like an asshole and just, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
But,
things happen.
yeah, this was the effect I was going for. They shit the bed. There we go. But Raw was very interesting overall. I thought there were a lot of great storylines, throughputs, and things that happened. So I enjoyed it. And anytime people say, oh, Raw was terrible, Raw was bad.
Heavily focused on Judgment Day, I feel.
And that's okay. And I appreciate that, especially because Liv Morgan returned. That's a huge thing. It's good to see her back.
Bitches, and then she saw Dom with ooh. I think
shades of
you want to
what
talk
he
about
did to
NXT
Rhea,
first, or
right?
You want to talk about that segment for?
We're going to go back in NXT, but while I've got you here, we're going to go into Raw more. So that's why I wanted to bring it back up. And thank you, Paul, for the congrats on 7,000 subscribers. Really quick, we're up to 7,091 actually, so almost at 7,100. But yes, we hit 7,000 yesterday. So hats off to you, crazy bastards! Thank you all for subscribing, hitting the like button, sharing. All that great stuff. We keep trying to put up shorts and little funny clips and things like that. So if you have any moments throughout the streams that you think are memorable, noteworthy, clip them yourselves. Or if you're lazy, just put the timestamp down below and we'll check it out. We appreciate it, though. Thank you so much. As you were saying for Raw, Cody.
So what do you think's going to happen with this whole Judgment Day thing? Because, if you see, the little key details of, Raquel during Liv and Kyrie's match, how Roxanne helped her. So there was no reason for Raquel to get mad. Was Raquel intentionally distracting Liv, causing a scene out there?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think she's in on it with Finn. I think because Finn started laughing and cackling the week before. Again,
you see,
he likes the Ascension. And you've got Roxanne bringing nuggets with no sauce, as you're very upset about. I'm upset like Paul is because it's just nuggies, not tendies. What the fuck? How do you not know your audience?
When Liv was flipping out after the match, yelling at everyone, Finn's I don't know, but ask Dom. You should have watched your match, right? Trying to
you throw him under the bus.
You didn't watch my match.
So
and
I think there was some great subtle
and Raquel
things
giving that
done.
dirty look to Dom. I think Raquel's jealous of Dominic because it's taking away
her focus,
her friendship with Liv.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So Raquel
and she wants to get rid of
Dom these dirty looks.
And who else wants to get rid of Dom?
Finn Balor.
You, my friend, a genius. So you're onto something with me here. Where it smells like fire, look for gas. And Finn all along has been what? Jealous. He wants the IC title. He wants that title to be his.
Liv's not stupid because she knows exactly how they kicked Rhea and Damian out of the Judgment Day. So Liv knows what Finn's doing.
And how they kicked Edge out. So I mean, the cycle continues. What they did to their master, essentially, what their original tutelage.
Liv and Dom are
was ruined by ego. It's
Liv
just
and Dom
the
are
cycle repeating itself.
Because Liv and Dom know what's up, so they're let's act like we don't know what's up. Let's act oblivious.
Yes.
And there's rumors like Liv and Dom are gonna turn face.
But I liked how there was elements of it throughout the entire night. It starts off with her return, then they have the later on where
Finn just laughing
match
when
is
he's
made,
in there.
and then obviously after the Finn's match, like they had different throughputs, and it's a continuing narrative. Excuse me, I can't speak. That's one of the things that I'm a fan of. And you know what I will say too about NXT? You heard the comedy work. I genuinely laughed tonight at the Chase U segment. Them going ahead and being announced against Dark State was very funny. Andre Chase sold it great. He's like, I'm not your teammate, that kind of stuff, because now he's going to get his ass beat by these gigantic men. As where Burt Kreischer and Tom Segura being on Raw was the biggest negative, because Burt was already on there, but Tom
switching back and forth with Raw and NXT.
I know, but
finish your NXT thing first, and then
No, I'm back on Raw. I'm saying having Burt Kreischer, that bit of comedy last night was terrible with the War Raiders, with them in the back. And does no one remember Tom Segura calling us all retards? He said how wrestling fans were retards and deodorant afraid.
Yeah, he did call us all
morons.
retards. Yeah, yes, he did.
He went on his podcast, had that whole diatribe about smelly wrestling fans and how they're all mental midgets, and that he would never go near any of them. And what's that? They have their Netflix, podcast and comedy shows, so now they have to be featured on Raw. And first, obviously, Burt did his little interaction with A-Town Down off camera. They did it after Raw went off the air, where he chokeslammed them and went ahead and, did his little pose off with his shirt off with CM Punk. And then now you had both of them in the back, and they were sitting in their seats, and they did the skit. The skit was terrible, and Burt and Tom they suck. They hate, it's like, anyone that uses a washcloth is poor. You know what I mean? Like that kind of stuff. He looks down on people now that they have money, especially Tom. It's just like, that's why people are down on Netflix. Exactly, Cody. And this is the issue, the integration, the constant, look who's here, all these stars, all these celebrities, because they have shows too, shit nobody cares about is watching. People are here to watch wrestling. It doesn't intersect, and they're not going to go ahead and check this shit out because you're on here.
Kai Cenat, whatever that guy's name is, that streamer. Macaulay Culkin's in attendance.
Streaming University. Can you all stop shooting each other, please? I don't need a lawsuit. You guys got to stop doing ground war on the floor. That place is going to hell quick, huh?
I was in a debate with someone earlier today with speaking back on that Judgment Day thing. There's like, trust me, you're gonna be wrong, and I'm gonna laugh in your face. They're like, Finn Balor's turning into the face. I'm like, how? Did you see him last night?
He was cackling. Literally on screen, laughing, like his dentures were gonna fall out, like me when my mouth is dry.
I'm like, I don't think that's a good guy.
No, that guy's a cunt. Seriously, like he is looking for it.
Face, right?
They have to be. The way he's been getting the reactions, especially at WrestleMania, I mean, they wouldn't have told him to go back to the ring and raise your hands if they didn't have plans for him to turn face. Everybody wants them. I miss babyface Finn Balor, of course, but it doesn't suit him well right now. It doesn't suit the story, the narrative, none of it. Him and JD are going to turn.
When she returned,
let them go get the tag titles and fuck off at this point, because as much as I'd like to see a face run for Finn Balor, it's not in the cards. It's not going to happen.
I think it would be forced because Dom and Liv get cheered massively now.
Yeah.
And then just listen to the pop Liv got when she said,
when she walked out, everyone went nuts to hear her return. And then when she walked out last night, especially in that red Mania,
she was asking, did you miss me? And yes, we did. Did you?
Like, I almost went blind.
So it would
put that in slow motion. You're like,
CM Punk said it first, by the way. He was the one complimenting on that gear first. CM Punk's words, not mine.
She's going to turn face, and that's what's going to happen. But speaking of heels, my big issue right now is Seth Rollins. He needs to ditch the goddamn entrance music. And I know I'm not the only one to say this. I've seen people post it on Twitter. I made sure I even
What do you make it? Because I don't want it to be bad.
It's got to be something else. They have to change it up, because having people sing along and then you're telling them to stop cheering you because, they lost you and you turned on me, you sang against me, all that stuff, you get it. It's not working. You can't
I get that in a way, but like Shawn Michaels was a heel, but his theme song's still a banger. But he also they
it doesn't serve the same, because this is less of that, and this is more, hey, you're including
Because they're
audience
gonna sing along to it
participation.
no
Yeah,
matter.
exactly. You're
Yeah.
getting that.
Yeah,
Just
I
like
get it.
Fozzy, you know, being Jericho's theme when he was, you know, really heel for too long. That was ridiculous as well. It's just, you can't have people just singing for you. You can't. You got to go all the way heel. You can't, especially. I
Because
mean,
he
they're
seems
trying to push
tweener
this
right now,
narrative
Seth.
strong too. They're putting up Braun Breaker as the main eventer of WrestleMania 45 through 50. You know, that's not a prediction; it's a spoiler. And Bronson Reed, you know, you can't. They demand the CM Punk chant stomp, and you know,
People said there's gonna be a fourth member now. Forget a third, a fourth.
yeah, and people are like, oh, well, Bronson Reed, you know, makes no sense because Seth and him brawled. They never explained it. Paul Heyman said it best. He said Bronson Reed put a beating on Seth Rollins that was worse than Roman Reigns ever could. And he said that he had to make a sacrifice for the future of the industry. He said that he praised Rollins and told the fans, you know, hey, you're going to acknowledge me. And I thought it was funny, you know, and they're trying to invoke the spirit of Roman. He will be coming back probably
So
for
it's
SummerSlam.
it's hard to
with, him
believe
and
Seth's
Punk,
a
but
full-on heel with the theme song because it just seems like he's a tweener right now. Still.
that's the problem. Because and then Rollins is basically, you know, getting "fuck you" Rollins chants to the point where they have to censor it, and,
But
and
after
McAfee's acting
when
like
they're
an
done with
idiot,
the
saying,
promo,
"Oh, what are they
the song
saying?"
plays again.
And then they sing
Did you
again.
hear about that whole news story that WWE is gonna ask?
But he brings it up to
Fans
them.
that
He's
stop
like, you know,
cursing?
he's like, you know, you're all morons because you don't know your right from your left. He's like, you're all singing my song and then you're chanting "fuck me." He's like, you're all
And
just
and
hypocrites.
he was right because after the promo was over, they go back to
Yeah, I do
you
like
know.
the addition of the suits, the shades. They looked clean as, like, you know, henchmen, but Rollins should clean it up a little bit more himself, and they got to
Yeah.
get a theme for them and not sound like a "you people" type group,
With all
because
the
we
money
already got one of
TKO's
those in
making
John
on it.
Cena. Exactly, Liz. I mean, they're out
Pay,
there, and it's killing me.
pay for a real song. Pay for a real song. TK. They brag about how
Downstate
much
is going
money
to
they're
play
making.
everybody's theme eventually. They did Indy Hartwell's as well now. There was a few others they did recently too. Who else?
Do you want
Someone,
them?
the guy that got released from Chase U, his is done by Downstate now too. I always forget his name. But we
Well,
had
my
Chad.
issue is
What's that?
my issue with him getting a new theme song is how bad could it be with Death Rebel? That's why I'm saying will WWE purchase a real song for them, a real
I would love it if
theme
they
song?
got something decent, but you know what? They need something new entirely. Even if it's bad, it'll grow on you. It's better than the fans singing along. Yeah, there's a rumor they're going to ask the fans to stop swearing because TNA is
Yeah.
trying to clean up their act as well. They're trying to make
How
themselves
can you tell?
approachable for a network
How
deal
are you going to ask
internationally.
that though? If everyone's saying it, what you going to do?
I guess you could say to the fans, like, hey, we don't want to keep censoring you. So instead of saying holy shit or holy fuck, say, you know, holy hell. And because we don't want to censor you guys. We want to be able to hear you.
Like
But,
you're,
you know, it could work. I don't know.
I don't like that because
I get it.
you're
Because
charging them so much money for tickets, and then you're going to
Netflix shouldn't be censoring anything. I thought that was the point of going to streaming. That's why I'm
Triple
so
H said,
confused.
once they're on Netflix, right?
I thought like the whole joke behind Netflix, you know, that Jaron posted was like, oh, as soon as the day one on Netflix, you see CM Punk walk in, you know, ready to go. CM Punk, do it. Where's my gun effect?
You know how many
Come on.
F-bombs they've
It's not
dropped
doing
on
it. There we go.
Netflix?
It's kind of showing up.
Liv Morgan said multiple F-bombs. CM Punk has. Pat McAfee.
What happened? Like, I thought it was supposed to be, holy heck, Jiminy Christmas, guys. This is terrible. Holy heck. Holy heck. Yeah, I mean, like, it's not going to work, but...
Yeah, you can't charge them this much and then tell them they can't swear.
My finger gun was supposed to work, but it's just making it look like the light. Like, there we go. See? Whatever. Technology. That's popping over here. Sorry, Cody. Any event, yeah.
I just don't understand that part, though. Like, how can you charge so much money for tickets, but then...
Exactly. Tell people what they can and can't. Like, I understand, you know, you're not going to have them singing the new Kanye song, you know, but you also need people to be able to vocalize as they need to. So I understand there's limits, and it's like, oh, well, maybe not the F word, but you can still say holy shit. And it's like, well, still you're censoring. I don't know. You're on Netflix. What about the times that they're on NXT on CW? So they're on, you know, they're on network television, not cable. And so what about them having to censor everything? That makes sense because even though they're shown on NXT, or on Netflix, excuse me, you still have to see them through the CW. And same thing with USA with
When do you think
SmackDown for now.
the breakup with Judgment Day happens, though? Before or at SummerSlam?
I think it's going to happen before.
The
I think it's going to
official.
happen at Night of Champions is what we were hearing. So
So Raquel's going to be revealed to be with, because I think tensions are going to build with Dominic and Finn, and then something like that, and then Liv's going to defend Dominic, saying, "Hey, don't talk to him like that." And then I think
yeah.
Raquel's going to sucker punch or something Liv, and that's going to be the. Then Dominic's going to be shocked, and then that's when Finn attacks.
I mean, people already didn't go to
Dominic.
NXT tonight because, it's going to happen where people are going to lose interest in the little things. Like you said, these storylines, like you're explaining with Judgment Day, are important,
Yeah.
but people aren't going to want to pay $700 to see a week-to-week advancement on Raw. That's what's happening
Exactly.
now. We're seeing people finally start to get tired of, hey, I like Raw, but is it really worth? Like, they started off with a great match. We had Chad and Dragon Lee and Penta in the qualifier. And holy good Lord. I mean, there was one time where Gable was basically dropped on his damn head when the three of them were going for like a triple move in the corner.
I got scared there. My heart sank to my ass for that one. I got fucking scared. I thought he was.
Chad, I know Penta felt bad afterwards, but then they did a huge flip dive and they went to the break and they checked on him. So Gable was like dumping people on the announced broadcast, table afterwards. They had that announced table tore out.
They Dragon Lee and Penta spot.
Oh, I know that was bad too. So that's what I was saying. They get over there and then they're trying to argue with Vikingo, and it was like Penta sent both of them over the table, but it was like a goddamn moment. And holy shit, the landing was bad. It was crazy. And then they had that huge sit out power bomb in the ring. Like, these guys killed each other, but in the end, Vikingo basically left Chad bleeding. It was crazy with the dress shoes that he kicked him with, and Penta hit a huge destroyer, not a Canadian or Mexican destroyer, just a destroyer. And then he got the big Penta driver on Gable that was already bleeding for the 3 count. So I'm wondering if we're going to see El Vikingo take on El Grande as well at some point, or if we're just going to get Chad Gable, strictly.
Well, maybe Chad Gable will do the right thing as a veteran. Let the young guy, up-and-comer, El Grande Americano take the spotlight.
But Chad had a bad night there. What a great match, but he drops on his face, kicked to the outside, and then he gets kicked in the face by Vikingo. Like, that was rough. And then we mentioned the Judgment Day stuff that happened. They skipped a lot of entrances during Raw as well, which I noticed even in the no commercial recap thing. Yeah, AJ being like, "Are you bleeding?"
Not to put down Kairi Sane. I know she probably just had some ring rust right now, but she's looked sloppy the last few weeks.
For the last 2 weeks now, she's not looked great in ring. She's had a few moments,
because
even when she
I'm
missed
not gonna
time.
blame Liv or Rhea. Because Liv and Rhea are 2 fucking great pro wrestlers, so you can't blame them. I doubt that you have bad matches with Rhea and Liv.
We've had a few spots where Kairi's been questionable the last few weeks, and I will attribute it to ring rust, I'm sure, but
a few of those spots last night during her and Liv's match just looked very awkward and
mistimed, really.
And,
Rusev and Akira Tozawa taking each other out, and this ends up going quick, but Sheamus comes out to ward off the bullies. This was quick for what it was, and Akira didn't get completely decimated as bad as I thought he would. Just gets put in the accolade. So I thought he was going to break him in half.
I honestly thought, my personal opinion, I honestly thought that Sheamus and Rusev were going to be a tag team instead of feuding.
I was surprised, but we're going to get one hell of a banger after banger with those two. I think we're going to get a regular match, Rusev will win, and then we'll get some type of stipulation match afterwards. So then we had
I can't wait.
One of the more wasted moments of the night for me, which was the New Day triple threat. They took on the War Raiders and the Creed brothers, and I didn't really care for this. It was pretty damn short, and it wasn't great. It was like an 8-minute match, but the way the commercials broke it up, I didn't have to sit through the commercials itself, but by the time we came back, it was like, oh, Ivar's hitting a frog splash, and then they break it up. And it just felt, again, very just like from spot to spot, but it didn't flow well. And of course, it leads to Woods getting another roll up, and they retain. So it seemed like they were off time with some of the camera cues here. They didn't catch all the action right, and commentary kind of didn't know what to say either. At times, it felt like everything was just a jumbled mess. So this was a overall negative, but not a huge detraction. It just was like very like bland and made it feel very like they're in creature comfort mode. They're not trying at this point. They were just pedals on the gas. And even that
I
type
agree.
of Raw in moments of it is still better than what we sat through than, face Roman Reigns and all the crap up till 2019 with crazy Vince McMahon. I mean, do you remember Kofi losing 6 seconds? Do you remember Roman eating dog food? Like there are many worse examples than bad shows. And then we got Jey Uso and Gunther. And even though Jay, as Solomonster said, it had to reboot at one point, he kind of stumbled and stuttered over his words. He got through his promo, and at the end, he was able to make a really great point. And Gunther was basically saying, like, you're not a champion. Doesn't mean you're there for everyone else. It's like, I'm only ever there for myself. He's like, a champion, what makes you great is like, the position you relive and who you are. It's like how you carry yourself. And Gunther was basically saying, like, I'm taking you out. And Jay was like, I'm done with everybody saying my days are numbered. And I'm tired of making it their excuse for the title to turn back on their friends. He's like, I got friends that I fight for, and they fight for me. And he's like, go ahead, you can judge me all you want. And he's like, I'm fighting for is less than what you're fighting for. You could say that all you want, but you can't overlook me because you know what I'm capable of. He's like, you think you know me inside and out, but you're gonna see me in Phoenix. And then Jay does the, 4 letters, 1 word, and gets the crowd going. And he's like, I'm going to make you tap again. So it was good. We're going to see this the 9th. Going to be the Raw after Money in the Bank. I still don't know. I still kind of think Gunther's taking this title. I think they might be doing something wonky here as well. I think Gunther might be winning this one. I don't want it to happen. I'm not done with Jay as champion yet.
I think so too, but
I have a feeling.
Hop out.
That's fine, my friend. We'll catch you when we see you shortly. Everybody, that's Cody Oneidi 316 on Instagram and Judgment Day Era on Twitter. Make sure you go ahead and check him out. All the info, of course, in the description box down below. This is when we had Liv and
I'll be
Kyrie.
back later.
Hopefully, my friend. So I'm telling you, I think Gunther might be winning. It might be happening. I hate to say it, but I worry. So we had Liv and Kyrie. They had a decent match, but so basically, Liv hits the backstabber, and then I don't know what they were going for, but Kyrie just basically falls on top of Liv, and then they get a weird 2 count, and I was like, okay, that was a pin. And then they try to get back up, and Kyrie hits Liv with this really sloppy Alabama slam where she almost landed kind of hard on her side. So not great. And that's when Roxanne comes out and she basically shoves Kyrie off the top. And, they had Raquel distracting the ref. And this pissed off Liv because she's like, why are you getting involved in my match? I had this. And basically she goes for the Oblivion, and that's when Kyrie blocks it and gets her in her own little sloppy pin. That was a 3 count that kind of looked like she kicked out. I don't know, but Kyrie beats her, and now Liv, of course, is just pissed off at Roxanne. So was not a good match here. The crowd didn't give a shit, and like I said, it had its entertaining seconds, but overall, a lot of miscommunication. Then, like we said, we had more from the Judgment Day in the back that we covered. Lyra came out and was challenged by Becky, and this will be good. So, basically, she's like, I've never had an issue raising the hand of the person that's beaten me. It just hasn't been you yet. And that was a great way to do it. Just doesn't seem like the crowd is really caring. Like when she's coming out, you get a few woos, but then a smattering of cheers, and that's it. She's not resonating with everyone yet. Like I said, I think there's a way to get there, but they're just not able to tap in deeper into her character. I think they're trying with Becky to bring it out of her, but I'm not entirely convinced it's working yet. If Jay retains, Sammy will win. That would be interesting. I don't know why I feel like, they kind of gave us a clue tonight because we saw Karrion Kross backstage and Scarlett was on a ladder. So I think that was to go ahead and kind of hint that maybe he'll be involved in the Money in the Bank match somehow. If he doesn't qualify, he'll get involved. Maybe there's some plan. And Cross continues with his manipulation, mind games, and puppeteering by saying, hey, Sammy, you're never going to win the title, right? And he's like, I'll deal with you later. And Sammy walks off. So far, interesting, but I want more. I want to see more Karrion Kross. I'm impatient. I don't want any more of this slow build. I'm glad they're selling his shirts in the arenas, but I want more. And then, of course, we got the main event. Raw was kind of on the shorter side, so we don't even see Finn Balor really enter. So we get Seth and, kind of coming out before the commercial, and then we see the end of Finn, and then Sammy comes out to a bit of a pop, and that was it. We get their match, and it was decent here, but Dominic comes to help Finn in the end, and he slides a chair in the ring, and when Balor goes for the chair, look at that. He gets stomped into it and gets covered. So Seth wins here. A good triple threat. They had a good match back and forth. It was, like I said, they worked it very well. But again, the problem here, unlike the shock win we got with NXT tonight, we weren't going to get a shock in this main event. It was a foregone conclusion that Seth would be walking out of there. I mean, look who he has in his corner now. He had Bronson Reed. He's got Braun Breaker. I mean, damn. How do you fight that one? How do you argue with either one of those men? They are just crazy. And I overall, I thought it was good. I want to know though, what is your rating of Raw out of 10? For me, it was in the 6 era, maybe 6.5, which still isn't bad. There was a lot of lacking of drama with Lyra and Becky, with the Seth whole thing in the main event. Not having any real follow-up because of the lack of CM Punk, only having Sami Zayn, no Roman. It's lacking a little bit of A for you, Liz. I could see that too. I was really high in that opening match. That opening match was great. The Rusev match wasn't really a match. The New Day match, to me, kind of missed the bar, unintended. Maybe we'll see, the League of Nations, as you said before, if only we got some of them returning. So, oh, wait, they got Del Rio, right? Down in AAA. So they just got to get, who was it, Cesaro back? Was it Cesaro or Drew? I think it was Cesaro, right? Because that's how they formed the bar afterwards. But I feel like it was about a 6. Yeah. All in all, the Liv and Kyrie match didn't deliver, and then the main event was good. It was fairly decent, but not terrible like we've gotten with some other nights, of course. Jim Ross, quick update: he underwent colon surgery on Tuesday. Conrad Thompson gave an update saying that he just heard from JR that his surgery went well, and they have hopefully successfully removed all of his cancer this morning. So keep him in your thoughts and prayers. He's beginning his recovery. That's great news there. So I'm really excited to hear that one. And hopefully it's just all good news and he can make it to All In selfishly, because I'd love to be able to see him feel well enough to call more wrestling. So absolutely some positive to share there. Raw wasn't doing too great. They were tied for 8th on Netflix for the May 19th edition. And they had 2.8 for the May 12th. This was finishing at 2.7 million global views. So not down by a ton, but still down a little bit. as of right now, the lineup for Money in the Bank with the qualifiers we had Alexa Bliss, Roxanne Perez, Rhea Ripley, and Julia as of right now. In the men's, we have Solo Sikoa, LA Knight, Penta, and Seth Rollins. So 2 more to be determined in each. And then, of course, we have John Cena and Logan Paul announced to be taking on Jey Uso and Cody Rhodes. Can't wait to see them start battling it out on the mic. Maybe that'll happen Friday, Liz, for you. I expect Cody to be there. John Cena is announced to be there this Friday on SmackDown. We'll preview that as well. Lyra Valkyria versus Becky Lynch, also at Money in the Bank. And Lyra can't challenge for the title again. Lynch can't challenge for the title again. So, but if Becky wins, she has to look her in the eye and raise her hand. So that's pretty big, you know. Lynch can't challenge again, or Valkyria must look Lynch in the eye and raise her hand. So some stakes there that are happening, you know, certainly exciting. Money in the Bank sounds like it's going to be good. Money in the Bank matches I'm looking forward to. As far as SmackDown, we were saying we got 2, one for the men's, one for the women's, but 2 qualifying matches happening. We have Naomi taking on Jade Cargill and Nia Jax in a Money in the Bank ladder match qualifier. I did say I'm thinking that Nia Jax wins this. I know, shocking, but they need somebody to bounce ladders off of, you know? Then, of course, Jacob Fatu, Andrade, and Carmelo Hayes in a men's Money in the Bank ladder match qualifier. Crazy. So it's obvious Becky is winning. I don't know. Maybe Lyra wins, Becky can't challenge again, and Lyra gets her hand raised, and, you know, we get to finish that because Bayley screws her over. Bayley finally makes a return and screws over Becky, and that jumpstarts their feud for Evolution. Main event, Becky versus Bayley. I think that's what we're getting. Cash that at Money in the Bank, folks, because that's my prediction. I think that's what's going to happen. Hold on, Despot. There we go. Look at that effect working. That's just fine. So we're good. I pinch my balls. Any event, we also have Bianca Belair and John Cena returning, so that's going to be pretty cool. I'm tending to believe we're going to get a surprise appearance by. No. It was supposed to be Cody. Sorry, but apparently he doesn't like me anymore. There we go. So, yeah, I think Evolution, they want a big match. What's bigger than Bayley versus Becky in a last tit, so that kind of thing. You know, they're going to do something huge between those 2 stakes. Or maybe Becky wins it and they still schmaz for the belt, but I'm tending to think it's gonna be those 2 in a stipulation match with a grudge of the century. You took me out of Mania. You screwed my chance to be not only at Mania, but a women's tag champ. You lost the belts. Charlotte's absolutely going to be part of Evolution. She might be in a multi-person match or a tag match. Surprisingly enough, I don't think Jacob Fatu is going to win this match with Andrade and Carmelo Hayes. I think Carmelo Hayes is going to win. He's going to go into the men's Money in the Bank. Surprisingly enough. So I think it's because Solo's going to cost Jacob, though. He's got a new favorite that loves him, and that's Jacy Mateo. And I think that feud's got to play out as well. WWE is touting their Atlanta takeover, as we mentioned earlier. And before we get into that, we're going to preview AEW Dynamite for tomorrow. So this is the fallout for the Double or Nothing show that happened that we reviewed this past Sunday. Surprisingly enough, what's going on, Casey? Hopefully you're doing well. We got Josh Alexander versus Brody King in a qualifier for the 4-way match for the AEW International Championship that was announced. So Kenny Omega is going to defend his international title in a 4-way on Fyter Fest on June 4th. And Dynamite's going to be in El Paso, Texas this Wednesday. That's the only thing they've announced for this Wednesday so far officially. So interesting. This Thursday with TNA. We know we're going to have Trick Williams appear, and they had these episodes taped this last Saturday in Brampton, Ontario. So we know Steve Macklin and Matt Cardona are going to be taking each other on for the International Championship. Steve Macklin defending there, so that was a good one according to Spaz. Can't wait to hear about the results and more about it from him soon. As we mentioned before, with that World's End spoiler, it ends up being quite a funny, turn of events. But the major AAA match that's happening coming up, we know the results. So when El Hijo del Vikingo goes and takes the AAA championship, the mega title from Alberto Del Rio, El Patron is going to be down there in Mexico. They're doing a match at a AAA taping on the 31st. Worlds Collide is just 1 week later, and that's when we announced Vikingo is defending the title. That's right, against Chad Gable. So that's a huge match. Can't wait to see what happens there. Little bit of sad but still optimistic news is Asuka. Been over a year since we saw her. And after she lost the WWE Women's Tag Team Championship at Backlash last year, she underwent knee surgery to address lingering pain she had been pushing through. And she had the issue really badly when she was in that European tour where she fought about with Kairi Sane and Dakota Kai for Damage Control. And according to Fightful, they said she was expected to miss the rest of the year, but she thought she'd be making it back in time for Mania. And they did not factor her into any major plans for the event due to the long-term nature of her recovery. And it appears that they still have nothing for the Empress of Tomorrow. So hopefully she recovers sooner than later. But it looks like, she also with that knee and ligament tear, it's been a while. So it's good to have Kairi Sane back, but we'll see what happens with Asuka in the future. But it looks like she's still a way off for her, for her recovery. So that's unfortunate. Another little bit of sad news while we're there is that Rick Derringer passed away at age 77. So terrible to hear that. He is the one that sang the original Real American theme, and so many more. Rock and Roll, Hoochie Coo, Hang On Sloppy. What else is there? I'm trying to think. He's had a few major hits, but he was a big part of the wrestling album and Pile Driver and all of those things. So sad to hear that he passed. Hell of an artist and Real American for sure. Hook is not cleared to return either. They cleared him to simply go out and, make some strikes with the golf club. Go out there and take out Cesaro. But that's why we saw him. He's not fully cleared. They were trying to get him fully cleared for Wednesday, Alvarez said, but he's not. They cleared him just to hit somebody with a stick and leave. So unfortunately, we've not seen Hook since April, where he was vomiting after the titles match with the Death Riders in the ring. So it looked like he suffered some type of head or concussion issue. And unfortunately, it's just not looking great for him to return anytime too soon. They just had him in the Anarchy in the Arena spot. So hopefully he's doing okay. And I guess a few people are banged up from that match, but doing okay. No serious injuries. Good to hear. One thing I do want to mention from that show, though, is the news report that came out today that neither men in the Owen Hart Cup final wanted to win. And you get some crazy takes and you get some vitriolic takes maybe, but I'm usually pretty level-headed with these things. And I am not an avid hater of any means by AEW. I do want to see them succeed. I've just been bored by the product for a long time. There was a point in time where they had me eating off of MJF's plate. I couldn't wait to see what he did next. And I currently don't give two shits. And I haven't in a long time. And that's unfortunate. And I think it's pretty much since they humbled him and made him everybody's asshole that he just became less interesting. But that's for another time. Point being is that neither of these men being, I want to put the other one over. I want to put the other one over. It kind of speaks to wrestling today, where are they lacking that drive of, hey, maximize your minutes, get yourself, like I would be, certainly fighting for myself. Hey, you have a chance to interview The Rock. No, I'm going to let Cody do it because, fuck it. No, fuck you, Cody. Sorry, I love you like a brother, but if it's only one of us, I'm fighting for it. I want that opportunity. I want to see what happens. I would say, well, here, I wouldn't step on him to do so. I wouldn't publicly say fuck Cody. Certainly not. I wouldn't campaign against him, but I also would not promote myself. And that's the thing that I see here that's missing. I don't think these guys are looking at it the right way, where they're saying like, "Oh no, that's selfish," or that no, that's not just arrogance, that's not overconfidence. That's believing in yourself. That's showing that why would I want to buy into you if you're not buying into yourself? You know, it's a silly, adverb you hear all the time, but how could you not love yourself? You can't love anyone else unless you love yourself. But it's true. And it took a long time to really learn that as truth. And the thing is here is these guys should be starving. Both of them. Hangman hasn't seen the title picture pretty much in over 3 years. Since he's been a, contender forever trapped in CM Punkville, or having CM Punk forever trapped in his mind anyways, it seems. Ospreay has been willing to put everybody else over but himself. Well, no matter where they go, it's never his time, it seems. No matter how loud the crowd screams, no matter how much people put him over, it's not his time. Why? Because he keeps telling everybody else to go in front of him. Ospreay should have won this. How many times has he delivered? How many match of the year matches has he given in a year from Dave Meltzer's, perspective? Meltzer had to find a way to add more stars to his rating, ability, just so he can have it on an Ospreay level. 19.5 stars for that match. It's like, all right, well, sure. I mean, you had 17 last time. Why not add 2 more? Next time it'll be 30. I get it, though. The guy is fantastic. And when he works with someone a bit more grounded or level-headed like Hangman, we see less of the Ricochet type match where he's flipping around and doing more of the athletics. He here still shows his athletic capabilities, but it did so in a story manner. They did do heavy amounts of kickouts, and maybe it was a bit too long, but that's also a thing with AEW in general. Their opener was 25 minutes. That set the standard for the night. Most things shouldn't go past 15, honestly, if you ask me, but these guys, the thing I feel like is they're lacking star power on AEW right now. They're lacking someone that makes me feel like, oh, that's the main person on this show, or that's the draw. That's the one I need to be tuning into watching. And I know they're trying to present Hangman as such, but I feel like they kind of missed the boat a bit by not doing it with Ospreay. I just, again, feel like him dethroning the Death Riders. I know it seems like, and it makes sense that it's supposed to be Darby Allin. He finished climbing that mountain. He ascended all the way up to the top of Mount Everest. He climbed and he climbed and he climbed and he climbed. And then he huffed some oxygen, then he climbed up some more. And then he reached the summit, he looked out, he flew that AEW flag, and then he coffin dropped off that bitch. And he needs to get his ass back on TV so we can go ahead and see him return to All In and finally challenge Jon Moxley so we can get him dethroned. Finally. As if I didn't say finally enough there. But, my folks in the chat, I appreciate you all being here. Hopefully you hit that like button. Before we go into NXT's, more in-depth review here, we're going to go ahead and bring up the fact of the counter booking that is All In. So, of course, we have All In weekend in Texas, and originally we knew Saturday night's main event will be Saturday night. So AEW announced they would be airing earlier in the afternoon as to not go ahead of whatever TNT is airing, blah, 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 really is to not go ahead against Saturday night's main event. As we know, they didn't do well beforehand. Now, yeah, if they wait for Darby, it'll be October, a year at Wrestle Dream, where he took the title from him and killed Brian. And yeah, they threw him down the stairs I mean, they killed Darby, and that's why we're waiting for his return to come and be the guy to save AEW from the Death Riders finally. But it's such a dreadful story, and that's been the turnoff for me. That's the change the channel heat, because I don't care about anything they're involved in. It's boring, it's tedious, and it's the same old shit. And then they pull out their version of shocking, which to me is repulsive. I don't care for the through the back nails spot with Spike. Yes, I've seen more grotesque and violent gore in the internet. It's not repulsive in the sense of like, oh, I have to turn away. It's just, it's not for me. Like, I end up breaking that down into, oh, well, he could have almost punctured his lung. He could have hit his spine and paralyzed himself. Are those things sanitized? Have they been shaved down, or are they just actually using regular, unclean, barbed nails that are rigid and jagged and can puncture his lung and cause a tension pneumothorax or some weird, staph infection from the rust, or that's where my mind goes, because I don't feel like it's safe. I don't feel like it's sensible, logical, worthwhile. I mean, you're doing it on a weekly TV show anyways for a quick pop in front of 2,000 people in that small audience. How could that have been worth any of what you did? And now, where's Edge anyways? Cope is gone. He's been gone for weeks, and Moxley's still got the belt in a briefcase that we haven't seen in nearly a year. What do we have to show for it? What was worth that stunt? What was worth the payoff to all of that? Nothing. You just moved on to the next week and lost more viewers. So WWE is now fully viewing them, I guess, as competition without acknowledging them as competition. They said for years they wanted to be competition, but anytime they get booked against, it's okay when they book against WWE. Remember, they added the Minoru Suzuki match with Bryan Danielson to go ahead and combat the longer SmackDown when they went into their Rampage live show. They had to have their pre-show, things of that nature. So counterbooking here, I guess. But now they were starting early to not interfere with Saturday night's main event, and then we hear, hey, NXT is going to go ahead and have the Great American Bash. So that'll be Saturday, July 12th. And then, we're going to have Evolution Sunday, the 13th, July 13th. So a full action-packed weekend takeover in Atlanta. I mean, I heard tickets are very expensive. You can get 2-day combo ticket packages for Saturday night's main event and Evolution. They go on sale today at 10 a.m., and I've heard that they are not cheap. So let's go ahead and check them out live. Wow. Let's accept and continue. What is the code? You ready? The code is what is it? All WWE. All WWE. That is a certain level of petty I like to see. Just so you guys know, I'm not exaggerating. That did unlock the site here for me. So let me go ahead and smart selection. Put it over my face, and let's see. It says tickets are $123 for resale. That's not too bad. Well, that's each night, so you got to keep in mind plus fees and all that. So let's go back in. So if we go back into it, it says accept and continue, and the pre-sale was all WWE, all capitals. Funny. So yeah, 184 is the cheapest. And where are you sitting? Section 208, row N. So for the two shows, it ends up being 368 subtotal. So let's see with fees and stuff, I wonder. Yeah, I'm not signing in, but you get the idea. So with fees, it'll be a couple $100, I'm sure. And that's not great. That's unfortunate. I believe it that's the price, and I mean, still that's not terrible, but it's a lot. Let's see. I'm going to go ahead and go through it and see what it is for fees exactly. Just didn't want to put my full address on stream again. No, why? We wanted to reset your password to make sure it's you. Come on. Really, Ticketmaster? I guess we're trying to be safe here and do the thing, but I mean that's very inconvenient, and I'm live and now I can't find it, and I'm sure it's a whatever. That was oh, here it is. No, that's old. Well, any event. Yeah, it looks like it was going to be almost $200 per night extra for fees and all that shit. So altogether 200 something. Yeah. Yeah, so it's $600 to sit in the last row of section 218, so you're on the side for 2 nights. So it's like $300 a night. Not horrible. You're sitting all the way in the back, but again, $300 a night, that's the cheapest ticket. We used to get, the cheapest ticket for $24. I get it can't be that anymore, but maybe if the ticket itself with fees and all that was $150 or $100, I could see, you know, but how are you going to get families of 4 to go? If I wanted to take my daughter, that's, you know, $700 for each of us. So that's 1,400 by the time you're done. You haven't even gone. You haven't parked. Parking is now $50 for these events. When we went to the concert together, it was $50 for parking. I mean, that stuff's insane. So now you're up to, you know, how much? You can't eat or drink anything unless you're rich as well. So it just keeps going up. Yeah, unfortunately, they're outpricing you in every market, and it's sad. It's unfortunate, and you're seeing it now. It already affected NXT. It's going to affect more. And it's not just because, oh, it was NXT. I'm sure those people now are so upset they didn't see tonight's NXT show. And that's why it was planned this way, probably for a larger audience. When you think about it, it was supposed to be in front of everybody in you know, Tampa, but they had to cancel. They had, I think they said about 1,400 ticket sales. I bet you if they knew the night, you know, they would have seen 2 title changes and the caliber of matches, people would have sold that place out. But how much are the combo prices for Evolution with you're seeing, Liz, you know, being from your neck of the woods? I'm curious, but yeah, tonight's NXT, they came from the Performance Center. They had to go back home, unfortunately, and they had security guards surrounding the ring. The North American champion, Ricky Saint, he makes his entrance. This was after they showcased a great video package from Battleground. Ethan Page made his entrance as well. Mike Rome comes into the ring, and he goes to start introducing them with that great high-def camera, and these guys just start beating the crap out of each other. And they don't even take 2 seconds. They don't wait for it. They hit the bell. Got to change that back, God damn it. And these boys, they're off to the races. Finally, they get separated for a minute. Mike Rome can finish his introductions, and he's doing it between security at ringside. The section I sat in at Bad Blood, tickets are $450 for 2 tickets, so it costs $1,200 for both nights. That's insane. I mean, for 2 tickets, $1,200, and that's rounding up as well. You don't even know if it's more with taxes. And so now these two, the bell officially rings, and you get some headlocks, and they're going for slams and some backdrops early on. But that's when all of a sudden Saints goes ahead and he sends Ethan outside of the ring, and Ego whips him into the steel steps, and Ava runs out and stops the ref from counting him out. And she's like, let him fight. She's like, I need to finish. I need to go ahead and have them have a conclusion. I don't care what happens. I want to see a title winner. Keep that in mind. So eventually we got a recap of what Ava said. The commentators made it clear. And they brawled through the whole crowd and just continued to beat the shit out of each other. And that's when they get back towards the announce table, and Ricky tackles Ethan, and they go completely ass over tea kettle into Booker T, who couldn't get out of the way fast enough. So he gets taken down, and security's trying to help up Booker T. His microphone now for commentary doesn't work for the next like 90 seconds. They're wrapped up. Ricky is tied up in cables and cords. Like the whole thing is a mess. It's great. So now the referee's like, get in the goddamn ring, you know? So all of a sudden there's a production chair in front. And while you see Page and he's got that evil, sinister, sick bastard of a look on his face, and he hits the twist of fate, the twisted grin onto the upside down steel chair. So Ricky's neck hits perfectly on the crossbar section into his throat, crushing his windpipe. He sold like he got hit by a lightsaber. He went and flailed all over. He had spit dripping down him. This was a great sell. What I loved about this as well is I used a VPN to watch this on Netflix. And so instead of having most commercial breaks, you get that nice, we'll be back, but they continue the action. So I got to see all of this as it happened in between. And just as you thought that, you know, Ricky was dead and he's down and out, that's all there was. He ends up getting right back in the ring. They do the yay boo spots. and eventually Ricky is able to counter a super kick into a power slam, and then he hits a huge DDT. It was great. And I was like, oh, here we go. He gives him a big belly to belly. And then he's got like this another one, like a scorpion death drop almost. He gets a big near fall. I was like, oh, here we go. They really ramped this up. And they finally get Booker back in. And all of a sudden, you see Ricky is leaning over towards the ropes. Ethan Page is down at the bottom of the ring, and he grabs the ropes and he snaps them up into Ricky's neck. And this was after they tumbled from the outside from the Rochambeau, excuse me. So Ricky tries to hit his finish, can't get it, you know, and you got Page on the outside, snaps the ropes into Ricky's neck, jaws the bastard, he's down again, hits him with another twisted grin, gets the win. 1, 2, 3, already a shock. I had predicted it, but I was not entirely expecting it. It did catch me slightly off guard because I was like, how could they screw Saints? But they protected Ricky Saints very well here. Not only did they show his uncanny resilience to go ahead and fight through injury after having his windpipe neck crushed on that solid steel chair, but he goes ahead and makes a daring comeback from that as well. Shows that he not only just survived, but had the chance to nearly win, was about to capitalize, and just was not in the right position. And had he been over a little bit, he would have hit the Rochambeau, but they, ended up having Ego topple out, and he used the ropes like an evil bastard, like a true heel does, celebrates, and it was a great win. And I'm not happy Ricky lost, but he was protected well. Maybe this will make him go straight to Obafemi. Maybe not. Maybe we'll see him and Ricky go at it one more time in some type of stipulation, and then he can move upwards. But I like the Fatal 4-Way setup. I don't think Ricky Saints is doing any more with Page. I think that's going to be done, and I think he's going to move on to bigger and better things like the main title. I don't envision Saints being in NXT long anyways, so having him go ahead and be the champ as long as he did was a great way to introduce him to the NXT audience that were not aware of his greatness. Look at this guy. He walks in, becomes champion instantly, just like Ethan Page. Look, these AEW, Tony Fumble Rumble guys, they were rejects. No, they were just failed. They're not failures. They were failed. And look at this. They have earned retribution. Ethan Page was the NXT champion in something like, 46 days? And now Ricky Saints had that North American belt even faster. And, to lose it to Page is no crying shame. Hell of a great match here. I mean, this was really something. This was a special opening. These fans at the Performance Center lucked out. The tickets were not sold en masse to this show. As I mentioned earlier, they had a great Santana vignette. This meds make my mouth so dry, I apologize. And they introduced, Santana of the Latin American Exchange to everybody. Here's Mike Santana now. And that's the match we're going to get next. We see Sarah in the back, and she's interviewing Fatal Influence. We get her talking to Jacy Jane and the challenge, and this is when Fallon Henley's like, I should have been, going for the title because you recently lost to her. And she's like, look, she took the North American title from you, so of course it should be me. And, you got Jasmine in the back kind of rolling her eyes. Nobody's getting along all night, perfectly setting up the tension, the dissension, the failure of this group. Fatal Illusion is falling, or Influence is falling apart. It's easy to see. No, it is no illusion. The girls are they're in shambles. They can't get along. Their egos are too big. And it was also great to see Inamura back. He was talking to Briggs and says that he's got bigger plans than just the tag titles. He wants them to go bigger. I've got big goals. So interesting there. You're going to see what happens. Mike Santana gets a huge ovation. Corey Graves, is making some great references to TNA legends like Homicide and Amazing Red. And that's when No Quarter Catch Crew comes out with Tavon Heights without, I thought at first, Miles Bourne, but then we saw him. I was like, all right, they're going to go ahead and they're keeping them together. I got it. All right. I was hoping, but so he came up with the group. we get to that later. So I wasn't totally disappointed. And this was a great showcase for Tavon. I mean, he is an amazing athlete. Santana, we know he's great. That's why he's the standard of TNA. I mean, they're another flag bearer was Josh Alexander, and unfortunately, he's no longer with us, sadly. But they had a really good match, battling to the break. These two chopped the shit out of each other. And I mean, they just continually chopped and chopped and chopped. The audience react great. You eventually saw Heights. He gets Santana with a huge clothesline, knocks him on the ground, and then he reverses a code breaker, and then he does a cartwheel into a fireman carry. And then Santana reverses that into a sunset flip and a near fall. I was like, it was great. It went into like a gut wrench bomb. It was so cool. Like, just very fluid, constant action. These guys pulled off some very, very incredible moveset spots, and a lot of stiff strikes. And every time, the crowd just reacted greatly. We had the great "This is awesome" chants, and you saw Santana, he got a huge near fall with a great rolling cutter for another "This is awesome" chant. Eventually, though, Santana, he basically gets him with a super kick, and then he basically catches him out of the air, and he hits him with a flapjack, and then he hits him with spin the block, so he gets the big discus lariat for the victory. Good 10-minute match. Really showed the excellence of Santana. That's why he's the standard of TNA. And it sets him up for more later on in the night. And he got a true main eventer reaction as well from this crowd. So awesome to see, well-deserved. And you look at him as well in his time in AEW and how he was handled and what TNA did to revitalize his career and renew him entirely. I loved it. I mean, they have rehabbed a lot of guys. And look at the people they named that have gone to TNA and achieved greatness. Yeah, AJ was there, but you think about Kurt Angle. He was once great, and then he was in ECW. He didn't want to do that. He looked at it as a demotion. He didn't want to be there, and he was gone. He went to TNA and put on some of the best Kurt Angle matches ever. We saw a lot of people be rehabbed there, even Cody in his short time there. But Drew Galloway was huge. TNA did great for him. So I thought some people were upset that, this was too competitive for Santana. He should have looked a bit more dominant. And I'm like, no, why can't you get both guys over? And it didn't look like Santana won in any given Sunday factor. It wasn't like a hard fought scrap at the. He had it in his bag. He had it in the bag. It was in control the entire time. Santana knew what he was doing. He had his game plan to follow through. And he got the win. He spun the block at the end. But he didn't make Tavon look like a rookie either. He sold for him well, and the story they told was very good. I think they elevated him in the loss here by making him look very impressive. And he always looks impressive, but now you look even more impressive against the standard of TNA. You went in there and you didn't survive, but you held your own. That means a lot in the business. And obviously, we're building all to Trick and Mike next week for the TNA Championship in Santana's hometown in New York. And it's going to be in that big arena, so that's going to be cool. Let's hope we get that Slammiversary as well in New York. That'd be great, but I'll take it for NXT next week. We went ahead and we saw a little vignette from Wesley talking about his guys and High Rise, and you get a little bit of a change, but it was good. They don't fit the mold, and they're like, they'll make the mold, and like, we'll be the outcome. We rise. So I thought that was cool. And then this is a comedy segment that not only worked, but you heard in real time work with the live audience. So you had Connors and Dixon backstage talking to Andre Chase, and they're like, "Oh, we made a mistake," and he's like, "You guys can't jump the gun, and you can't pick fights with people that are bigger than you." And they're like, "Oh, you think we're good at taking risks?" And he's like, "No, guys." So Ava walks by, and they're like, "Oh, we need to take more risks, and we need to, challenge more." And she's like, "Fine, that's great. You guys are going against Dark State." And you heard the audience just die laughing, and you see Chase in the The foreground, just hands over his face, just like, what did you morons do? It was very well sold. It was really funny. And, explaining the joke always ruins it, but it was fun. I liked it. And it was cool to hear the live crowd guffaw and laugh as much as they did. So now you're going to see them basically really jump the gun here. They're going to get destroyed, and that's all there is to it. Then we had the only Trick Williams come out. He had a great entrance as always, but it looks even better with that TNA title around him. And Mr. Trick said that, Hollywood Trick has finally arrived. It's Trick and A. And he was waving and singing his hands about Average Joe. And he's like, forget crossing the line. You're going to have to cross Trick. I am the new line. And, NXT didn't appreciate me, but I'm going to take the gold to TNA. And this is when he brought up all the champions like I did. And he's like, but no one's going to be as good as Trick Williams, not even Average Joe. And he's like, I'm turning my back on the fans because you guys turned your back on me. And I heard you all singing. And that's when, he's like, I'm going to change the name of TNA to Trick NA. And that's when Santana comes out. And he's like, you're not my champion. You're not our champion. And you're making a bad impression of what TNA is. He's like, we have worked so hard and we've been killing it every day. All this momentum for you to come in and ruin it? I don't think so. And he's like, you've never been world champion, though, Trick says. And he's like, only when you are can you ever call the shots. And that's never going to happen. And that's when Santana shows up on the Tron there. And he's like, you're a pretend champion, Trick, or a pretend ass champion, I think is what he said. And he's like, Mike is the realest and the illest. And you're going to go ahead and defend the title. I cleared it with Ava. And he's going to whoop Mike's ass. So he's like, yeah, that's going to happen next week on NXT for the title. So really cool that they made that announcement. And this was a hell of a back and forth between these two. I liked seeing Santana getting time to talk. I was not expecting him to make this, claim and call out. It was cool to see Santana get a great vignette to showcase him, then a great showcase match, then a great promo showcase. It's like they showcased all of them before they went and had him in a great main event next week. My God, how could they not miss tonight? Then we go ahead and we have Jada Parker. We're joined with her already in the ring. Tatum comes out, and this is more about the story. I guess they're basically trying to say that, it's all about the loss that Tatum feels, and that, she can't live without all of her friends and everybody left her. And the finish was very silly. It was basically Tatum having a breakdown. She grabs the Gigi doll that Jada throws in. She starts freaking out, and that's enough for her to get the hip attack. What is it? The hypnotic. And that was it. That's all there was to it. So she can't be without her friends. She's in a manic episode. She needs new people. It was silly. It was, they TNA'd it here. Sorry, they had to do it at least once, but we got the debut match of Jasper Troy against Dante Chen. I don't know much from him, but this was a good showcase match. He just beat the hell out of Dante. Jasper looked like $1 million. It was all about the after effect. This was a quick squash, about 3 minutes, 30 seconds or so. Obafemi makes his entrance. He's up in the crow's nest, and I don't think anybody's used that in a little bit. It's nice to see somebody taking advantage. And he's basically saying, I want you to enjoy this moment, but when you went against me, this is all ending. That's all there is to it. So we're going to eventually see them face off for the title, and it's going to be epic. That's the just meet type, match we need. But then what I was hoping and looking forward to, thought we weren't going to get, but I like what we did. Charlie Dempsey's in the back, and Miles Bourne is basically saying, I did well, Tavon did well, and even though neither of us won, we both proved why, we are who we are and what we say we are. I proved that I should be in going for titles and so on and so forth. And Ren was even jumping in, praising him. And that's when he's like, no, you guys, you lost your matches. You need to be focusing on us three being a team again, the trios thing. And that's when Miles was like, I don't want to go backwards. I don't want to go ahead and redo this. It's not for me. I'm moving upwards. What do I got to do to get out of here? He's like, how about if I beat you? And Dempsey's like, oh, you think you can? And he's like, there's no way. How about a rounds match? So they're going old school, no quarter catch crew. I like what they're doing here. And hopefully this is it for Miles. He can get out of the group, move on, and go on to bigger and better things. He did great job the other night on Battleground. I love the match. I love the buildup. I like his character. I like that there's more to him than just a disability. I thought it was a fun segment. And like I said, most of this was hitting well. Then we went ahead and we got to go ahead and see Egan Page. That's right, as I call him, all ego, Ethan Page. He comes out. He's got his nice suit on. He's gloating. He's happy. He's celebrating. He's in a good mood, looking fly dapper, and he's being pretty effervescent. Why? Because we saw him win the North American Championship earlier in the night. And that's when, as I mentioned earlier in the review, Javon comes out and the Youngblood says that, hey, why was I not invited? Look at all the history we have, you and I. I feel like I can't think of anyone more undeserving than you, actually. And he's like, I'm going to be about as real as I can be. I talked to Ava, and I heard that you're going to be defending the title, and it's going to be against me at Worlds Collide. So I was like, oh, shit, that's an interesting match, but where's the luchadors? And that's when they did not disappoint, as Paige was trying to cut one on Evans. We saw Laredo Kid from TNA and AAA. He makes his entrance, and I thought he was just Laredo, but now he's Laredo Kid again. And he talks to the fans, and he's like, guess what? I won many championships in AAA, and I'm coming after that North American title. And Paige now, really, he is inflamed. He's pissed. He's telling everybody to stop ruining his moment. And that's when Javon said, oh, wait, I forgot. There's one more. And God damn it, Ray Phoenix from SmackDown makes his entrance. The crowd goes insane. He's like, it's going to be a fatal four-way for that North American Championship. And I'm going to bring the fire to burn you up, buddy. And Phoenix starts yelling his catchphrase, and Animo, and he's going, and, Cero Miedo for, ego, I guess. He can be the other Lucha brother for this match. But this was fun. This four-way is going to be nuts. This excites me. As much as I'm not the biggest Laredo Kid fan, I do appreciate what he brings in the ring. But Phoenix, Paige, and Javon with Laredo Kid is going to be a lot of fun. This is going to be a match to look out for. And I'm not so sure Ethan might walk out with the title. Imagine if Ray Phoenix wins and is going to come defend that thing on, from SmackDown and on SmackDown. This is just a huge setup. Ray Phoenix is a huge star, and Laredo Kid's a very big star in AAA in Mexico. So, not denying that at all. Maybe not my favorite, but certainly a lot of people's. Very exciting. This is when we saw Tatum get the payoff from her losing the match before. So she is just crying and having an anxiety attack, and that's when Zarya and Soul, the women's North American champions, show up, and they're like, "Hey, don't worry. We got your back. We're here for you, and if you need a friend, you can confide in us." So I think that's going to be a trio soon, and that'll be the new Chemical X, but only for a short while, because it seems like they're going to split eventually, and then also Tatum's crazy anyways. But the culling, I saw this on Twitter. I didn't see it initially, where they were in the background looking menacing. So somehow I think they're going to take Tatum and play into all of that, but we'll see. Still very interesting. Then we went ahead and, as I said, we got the announcements finalized. So Trick and Mike next week for the TNA title, and Miles against Charlie in a rounds match where if he wins, he's free. He gets away from the no quarter catch crew. And then we went ahead and we got Fatal Influence. They I guess some people were saying that there was an issue with Nyx. They thought she was getting pulled off of TV because of something her boyfriend did at Disney World. I don't know what happened, but hey, not great if he's an asshole. It's certainly interesting, but maybe that's why she's not been wrestling. But still, we had Stephanie Vacour taking on Jacy Jayne with Jasmine Nyx and Fallon Henley. And this was very surprising. It was a really good match. So every Stephanie Vacour match has been damn good. And early on, she's going for the devil's kiss, but can't get it. And they're basically, they go to the outside, and you ended up seeing the girls that Stephanie will take on, Chica Tormenta and Dailies. They were on the apron, and she was trying to go ahead, and Jacy tried to take advantage of this with a quick roll-up, but it didn't work. And that's when Stephanie went ahead and hit her with a 619 and got a really cool near fall. I was like, oh, that could have been it. And I thought the girls were going to run in and sell for, the Worlds Collide show, and then that was kind of going to be it. But no, we got more time here. So I thought, they'll have a long brawl afterwards. We got enough time. No, the match keeps going. So we got a big sunset flip. And that's when Stephanie comes back, and, she basically gets her with a sling blade. But, oh, no, Stephanie's down. And she basically is able to come out of it. She gets a big tilt-a-whirl backbreaker. And that's when we saw Jacy. She goes ahead and she ends up coming up, hits her with a big face buster down on the mat. That was good. And as she basically then goes ahead, you see Stephanie hit her with soul food. And they're just beating the hell out of each other. Follows up with a big meteor. Gets a 2 count on, Jacy still going strong. And you basically saw on the outside, it looked like Fallon and Jasmine weren't getting along, and obviously would play up more into later, but usually they're working together, they're cheering. You're not getting any of that. You're not seeing the usual teamwork. You're not seeing the cohesive unit that Fatal Influence usually is. So Stephanie puts Jacy into the electric chair and gives her the big old snake eyes on the apron. And she goes ahead and she tosses her right into the steel steps, and she hits her with this implant buster that basically went into a code marker that was nuts. And that's when Fallon gets on the apron, but then she gets knocked off by Jacy by mistake. So now we see the miscommunication happen here. And now they're all arguing, and they're really getting upset. So Jasmine goes ahead and she walks over, and she's trying to, basically keep these two from killing each other. And you see Fallon and Jacy are arguing, and they go ahead and they come back, and they look at each other, and then they go ahead and they push her straight down to the ground. So now Jasmine, she's pissed. Jasmine Nyx is like, fuck this. And you see her walk around to the other side of the ring. And you're like, oh wow, there's the disillusion of Fatal Influence. They're just not able to get along. Can they coexist? No. And that's when she starts to distract the ref, and basically, you see Fallon hit Stephanie right in the back as Jacy's holding her. And it was a huge back suplex into that hip thrust, and I was like, holy hell, that didn't help. But Henley, she breaks through, and we get the big distraction. She hits her, she gets the running knee. 1, 2, 3. With the distraction on the referee, with that little bit of interference from Fallon Henley, I mean, it looked good, but not enough to take Stephanie out, I thought. But that was it. She got her after all that. Jacy Jayne. She's your new NXT Women's Champion. Mike Rome is just, as I said, jaw, hitting the floor, mouth agape. They're not announcing yet. Like, no one can believe it. And finally the music hits, and he starts to make the announcement. And new. And you see them, they get the belt, and it was shocking. It was crazy. Stephanie looks destroyed and totally defeated. Obviously, she lost the title. No one saw this coming. I mean, they just had Battleground. Why wouldn't you lose it then to Grace if that was the plan? So many questions, so many people mad. Oh my God. It did its job. It got people talking. It made people angry. It made people happy. It made people confused. It made people shocked. It made people sad. I certainly didn't want to see Stephanie lose. I kind of assumed at one point she would certainly just be undefeated and then just go up to the main roster and do, who was it? Asuka did it and somebody else did it, where they just, went ahead and relinquished the belt. And no one beat me. There we go. I'm undefeated. I could see Stephanie doing that all the way through with the title because she was that awesome. Like, I thought that's the kind of rocket ship they had attached for her. I saw her defending this thing all the way to SummerSlam, but that was not the case. And what it does is it makes the weekly NXTs even more must-see because we got 2 new champions tonight. It wasn't a special event. It wasn't a named show. It wasn't a weekly special. It was at the Performance Center. It was supposed to be in front of that Tampa crowd, so it was probably written with a big audience in mind. This would have popped a very big audience. They would have loved it. I'm telling you, Cody, these people would have went nuts. Glad to have you back, my friend. But
Thank you. Sorry that took so long.
That's all right. I mean, but I'm at the end of NXT now. I was just truly shocked, like I said. So you have Stephanie. She's given her the devil's kiss in the center of the ring. It's Booker T's favorite move. He's horny as ever. She's getting her ass smacked into the other girl's hips and face, smacking her down to the ring, and using the hip thrust, taking Jacy down. And that's when, like I said, you saw Fallon use like a arm breaker 619 kind of kick thing from Fallon Henley. And while Jasmine Nix had the referee distracted, Jacy Jane hit her with the running knee, and that was it. 1, 2, 3, and everyone was shocked. It was abrupt. It was shocking.
Whether people were upset, happy, or mad, it got people, talking. So that's what matters most.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely, it did.
I think. I know people say bad booking, but we're not the booker, so we're the fans. So
I'm curious what everyone's rating out of 10 is tonight, because I'm at a 9 myself. Between both title matches, those were both.
I need to watch the rest
great.
of it. I got the main event. I watched the main event because
the other 3 matches weren't bad either. The Mike Santana and Tavon Heights match was excellent. It was really, really good. And then
someone I talked to on
Jada Parker and Tatum was quick, and then the Jasper Troy match was quick, but they were both intended to be quick. They weren't bad either. Jasper Troy's squash match was good.
I want your opinion on the whole show, because someone I talked to said no match was good tonight.
Oh, absolutely not. No, that even if you take the title matches out of it, the Tavon Heights match with Mike Santana was excellent. It was really good. It was hard hitting. They chopped the shit out of each other. I mean, both their chests look like chopped liver by the time they were done.
When you tell me a show is good, because I miss wrestling sometimes because of the match, my bad. But you're never wrong. When you say a show's good, it doesn't disappoint me ever. So
this one was excellent, and I mean, we went through a lot of wrestling news as well. We talked about NXT and how they're going to have the Great American Bash coming in, and that being counter booking for All In Texas, because All In Texas.
I have a few things.
Yeah, please go ahead, hit me.
Go ahead on the All In Texas first, and then I'll.
No, go right ahead. Whatever you want to talk about, please hit me.
Yeah, as I was saying before, I think we might have discussed this part. AEW fans and AEW and Tony Khan themselves say they're competition to WWE, and they can go up against WWE, but when WWE goes up against them, they cry and whimper and say, "Oh, you shouldn't be doing that. That's bullying."
I will say we haven't heard any crying currently from Tony Khan about this booking. We might hear some, but we haven't heard them complain. I mean, at least from what I've last seen.
He better not, because that's a developmental brand show.
Yeah, from what I've seen with Tony Khan, all he did was he advertised. So they're going against Saturday night's main event. Evolution is the next day. Saturday night's main event is that night. So they moved it to the daytime, and now they're going to be going up against directly NXT Great American Bash. Which NXT is more their audience than Saturday Night Main Event would be. They were better off going up against Saturday Night's Main Event because people give a shit less about that because, one, NXT has no commercial breaks, and two, the NXT audience is usually the one that's tuning into Dynamite the next night. So, at least a portion of them.
I have. Wait, what's AEW putting on? Is that the All In show or what?
That's the All In Texas show. That's going to be headlined by
so Tony Khan gets mad about
and Hangman and Moxley for the title is the main event there.
I'll troll him so hard on Twitter if he gets mad about that because this is your WrestleMania against the developmental brands pay-per-view. So if he gets mad, I don't know what to tell him.
He hasn't said anything yet. I mean, he's just touted up Dynamite. So you got Hangman going ahead and talking to the crowd tomorrow, and then we've got Mercedes and Tony Storm going to be at All In Texas as well. So that's another big match. We'll see what comes of that. They're going to get their first face-to-face tomorrow night. So, but yeah, Tony hasn't complained yet, but he has in the past, and you're not wrong. So that's the thing that is, I mean, all in all, I'm still shocked, stunned, and speechless, as WWE said. It's insane because they could have had Jordan Grace win the title on Saturday, or Sunday, excuse me. We could have seen it, and instead we get a shock result in Jacy Jane after Fallon Henley did this crazy 619 across the turnbuckle thing into a hanging arm. I don't know, but still, then she hits her and gets her. It was nuts. And it's just been
anything else that we missed? Did you discuss all of Raw? What other wrestling news did you go over?
Look at this. The reaction. We got to go one more time to the reaction here. Hold on. I'm sorry. Dead silence. No one knows what to do. She smiles. Mike Rome can't believe it. They're tapping him, telling him to go. He still can't announce it. Like, he's just like...
Did he even know? That was...
They usually don't smarten up the announcers, so... I don't know. It's an interesting reveal, that's for sure. And like I said, she got her there big time. So it was a hell of an ending, and spinning back fist that she got. I don't know why I said running knee before. Spinning back fist, excuse me. Too many days awake and too much wrestling since Friday. So we covered, everything from SmackDown onwards. We covered SmackDown. We covered everything Saturday. We covered TNA Under Siege, which was great. Then we went ahead and we reviewed the amazing Saturday night's main event. Yeah, that just completely left so much to be desired. Saturday night's main event was just this, right, Cody? And
yes,
nothing but commercial breaks. So it was greatly disappointing.
We kind of gave them a commercial-free episode tonight on Into Somewhere. So
they did. They had the ultimate commercial-free episode, but
so next time we're gonna have to load it with commercials.
We're gonna have to from top to bottom. I think they're not gonna know what's coming. That's for sure. But what was everyone's favorite match?
Another commercial-free episode.
What was your favorite match from Raw? That's what I want to know. What was your favorite match or moment? I should ask. But what were you most excited about from Raw?
I'll go match first. Probably the opening men's qualifying.
Yeah,
match,
that was incredible.
Moment. I think I'm interested in the both the Seth Rollins group and the Judgment Day tension, because back to like Raquel, for example, like if not this past week's, but last week's segment, like everyone was in just confused, shocked, like what's she doing here? Everyone just had this confused look. Then Raquel's over the top reacting. What is she doing here? Like,
yeah, exactly. I like that we knew she was going to return. It was said. It wasn't like so as soon as we saw her show up, konnichiwa, bitches, it was like, oh, cool. Like, you're back. We knew it was going to happen. That works for us. So.
Yeah, and then I think Liv and Dom are ahead of Finn on his trickery. Like I think Liv knows what's up, and I think she's pretending to be mad at Dom.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think she's definitely knows what's up, and she realizes that she's being played, and that's I think that's going to turn into the face turn for her and Dom, and that's why Raquel will be seen maybe as a heel, and maybe she'll team up
Yeah,
with Roxanne going forward, as we
because
said.
just look how Raquel's acting
Mm-hmm. And
compared to
then Dom and
everyone.
Roxanne and Raquel could be the new Judgment Day with JD.
And Liv's like, yeah, Dom, Raquel's been letting me know everything that's been going on, and Dominic was confused. And then when Liv walked out, Raquel kind of laughed at Dominic and said something to him in Spanish.
When am I going to stop
And
watching? When it stops being good? I mean, WWE has been entertaining, so thankfully it's been continually good recently, and they've been on a hot streak for several years now. I mean, since they turned Roman heel and got out of the pandemic area, they fixed a lot of their long-term storytelling issues that they didn't have before, and they've addressed a lot of. I mean, it's not perfect. It's not 10 out of 10 by any means, but there are nights that are, more enjoyable than others, and I mean, there's a lot of
like
things
we
for
can
fans to
admit,
sink
like
their teeth into right now and enjoy, I feel like.
Triple H doesn't book like he once used to with Black and Gold.
No, but I think a lot of that also is because he's answering a TKO. So there's a board now. I mean, his bookings changed even from a year ago. And if you look at the inclusion and handling of The Rock at TKO and the board members and all these things, I mean, the board all lives in Vegas. So where do they want Vegas to be? The home of WrestleMania. Like, these things are
And
happening, and it makes sense as to why.
and they think we give a shit what they want because they don't give a shit about what ticket prices and us wanting it lowered. So why do we give a shit? They live in Vegas.
Yeah, and they said, well, guess what? We're
So
not lowering prices. We're probably just going to raise them because of supply and demand, because we're putting on less house shows. So there's less events for people to see. So that makes the tickets more valuable. And they made out of like 8 shows $20 million when they did the European tour. Those live shows that they had for Raw, SmackDown, those things. And I'm telling you, it was surprising nobody to hear that they're always record-breaking gate, because they're charging the most they ever have. And TKO is already burning fans out. Families cannot afford to go. They can't also feel like they're being lied to, because families, some went ahead and purchased travel packages for WrestleMania already. Hey, you can do that for your kids. Well, guess what? I wanted to do it for my kids' graduation. I wanted to do it for this thing, that thing, their birthday, their whatever it is, whatever the reason. If they can afford it, great on them. And now it's being moved. And they're like, well, we already set up the hotel. You said April 1st and 2nd or 8th and 9th. Now it's the weekend after. Why,
yeah.
So everything's moved. The locations moved. You announced it. You came out on TV and said, from The Rock's lips to our asses, this is what's happening. He had his goosebumps. He told us, the bald fraud
So now
himself. I can feel
nothing
that.
from
The
that
bald fraud.
SmackDown meant anything.
Exactly. And any announcement going forward doesn't mean shit, because what? Someone else might offer you more money in the long run. That's not a great feeling either. That's very anti-consumer. So they're on a precarious position right now where they can be class actioned by fans, and I'm sure they're protected by some fine print for this, but still they're getting to a point where it's becoming a big problem. People are noticing, people were like, all right, WrestleMania is always overly expensive. It's in Vegas. It's even more expensive this year, whatever. But then they saw the prices for SummerSlam and they were like, oh my God, $30,000, $40,000. That's insane. Then they saw a $3,000 and $30,000 package for Evolution. And they're like, all right, this shit needs to stop. Already it was bad with a 2-night first ever SummerSlam. Now you guys are just being filthy greedy. You have not stopped. And I did promise everybody an action-packed episode tonight. We did give you an extra long one. I don't know if Cody has anything else he wants to get to before we get out of here.
Did you talk about the thing with what Jonathan Coachman said, that Vince is looking to buy back WWE?
I think that's BS.
Do you?
So
Well, I don't think
Coachman is trying to make himself a big name in the podcasting world. Vince wouldn't even have the option. Who would even sell to him, and would he be able to even produce? I mean, does he have that much liquid asset, that much money? I don't even think that's a thing that can happen. Yeah, with Coachman.
Yeah, I don't think It's real either because how close is Coachman to Vince?
I mean, Coach just said, he explains why canceling NXT show could be a good thing. He called Bailey washed up and boring. We talked about that. I mean, Coachman's throwing up. He said that she's, not successful and never sells a dime. And he's like, the fans have spoken. They keep speaking louder and louder. For those of us that love the wrestling business, ticket prices to allow fans and families to. So, all right, him saying canceling the NXT show was a good thing. I agree with that. That's why you got to read more than the headline. But yeah, yes, because it was good to show TKO, hey, we're not willing to play ball with this. This is too expensive for a weekly NXT show. And that was the problem. They only announced a 2-hour NXT show for the weekly, televised show. And that was it. There was nothing else to it. When you had Backlash for the same price on Sunday, why would you not go see that? Instead, see a shorter NXT show that's going to have far less quality matches.
On that is it's The Rock trying to sabotage Triple H, blaming low ticket sales on Triple H, which will get him.
Yeah, I mean,
kicked out of creative instead of the prices.
Yeah.
I think the prices will eventually go down.
Probably. I think eventually, or they'll start to, because they're supposed to include everything in the app now. Like, this is the total price. This is everything. This is with fees. This is with that. And, the Ticketmaster site, I see it shows it, but other sites aren't 100% following suit. So we'll see how everybody else goes through with it. But still a shocking night. Ethan Page wins the North American title to cap off one hell of a first year in WWE. I mean, my God, he's been the NXT champion. He's been the North American champion. We've seen him go ahead and just have a stellar year with some great feuds, a kick-ass theme song. He's probably one of the best themes in the past year as well that we've gotten. So that shit's a banger. That is a bop. I love his entrance. And then, of course, Jacy Jane winning tonight. I mean, that's the shock right there. I mean, my goodness, I did not see that coming. I am shocked by that and blown away. Stephanie teaming with Lola Vice for Worlds Collide. I thought, she'd still have the title around her waist. Maybe her and Lola would feud again, but I mean, if more people don't show and go to these shows, they're going to have to lower the prices, or else they're just going to completely, air to no fans again. They're certainly not going to want or have that. That's not a good look. And
any other things that we missed? Did you talk about Raw?
We covered Raw. We covered the preview for SmackDown this week, so people can go ahead and check that out. We will have, again, a new episode this week of our latest hit show, Guilty or Guilt-Free.
You want to spoil what it's about? Or
no, we're going to leave them waiting. They're going to be surprised. It's going to be a good one. Plus, we've got another episode installation of Into Somewhere podcast that'll be out in the upcoming days. So there's going to be a lot of content coming up for everybody. Thank you all for going ahead and tuning in. Liz will be at SmackDown, so she'll send us some stuff and we'll hear about her time. We won't be live Friday, but we'll see what's going on over the weekend. Next weekend we'll be live, a few times over because we have Worlds Collide and Money in the Bank to look forward to.
Are we going to just do that in one super stream, or are we doing two?
I think we might go ahead and... I thought Joe Hendry was haunting me again. Oh, God. No, we'll have to see, but... I don't think we're going to be doing that in one go. I think we're going to be splitting that one up, I imagine. So I imagine we'll do Worlds Collide, and then later on we'll come back for the Money in the Bank review. But it'll be a great time. We'll have fun. We'll try and get some special guests in there as well. Thank you, Cody, for coming back. Cody, let everybody know where they can find you, my friend.
You can find me over on Twitter or X, whatever you like to call it nowadays, at Judgment Day Era. And you can find me over on my Instagram at Cody_Oneidi_316.
That's right. And you guys can find me on Instagram, on Twitter /X, on Rumble at Countdown Ended. You can find me here on YouTube, Jake Countdown Ended DeMarco. Thank you all for helping me get to over 7,100 subscribers we're almost at. That's incredible. This has just been going up and up and up. I appreciate it greatly. So I can't say that enough. We look forward to seeing you all soon.
This just got back to my mind.
Oh, what's that,
Before we end it.
Yes.
Jonathan Coachman, you said he called Bailey washed. Right?
Yes, he did.
What do you think of that, real quick? I just want.
Oh, we brought that up previously. We were talking about how, he was just ridiculous. Yeah, Bailey, she went ahead.
My brain's mush right now.
I know.
So.
We went through so much news before. I think that was like right after Mania weekend. So we were live for like 500 hours. But we basically stood on the side of Bailey. We've seen her draw. We've seen her sell out. We've seen her be a main event in a Mania draw as well as just then back in NXT. So I think he's a little full of shit and pulling a Russo. She's great. She's a great talent. She's put on a few banger matches. I don't know where she is right now. But I still think she's going to be the highlight of Evolution. I love how you brought it back to that. So we'll have our previews for Evolution and for all the shows coming up as well. So make sure you check those out. Subscribe down below if you haven't. Hit the like button. And we'll see you all live for the next show and Into Somewhere. Stay sexy.
Not the banana.